lights. I see one! Pull over, Mr. Fredricksen, Russell said. Carl swerved to the station wagon to the side of the road. Is it a squirrel? Asked Doug as he jumped out of the car. Even better, said Russell. According to the Wilderness Explorer Guide to Flora and Fauna, it's a Japanese morning glory. That flower? They were headed to Sylvan State Park to earn Russell's Better Botanist Badge. His first as a senior wilderness explorer. All he had to do was find and identify 10 varieties of flower. Only 9 more to go, he said as he took a picture of the flower. Better get moving then, Carl said. As they drove, Russell looked at the flowers in his field guide. Wow, this book has everything in it, he said. It has sunflowers, it has butterfly milkweed, it has purple wisteria. Does it have a gross crocus? Asked Carl with a sly smile. A what? Asked Russell. A ghost crocus, said Carl. It's a legendary flower that blooms only at night. Pale as the moon, glows in the dark, with 6 silver petals and stars on its stamens. Brave explorers have looked for it for centuries. Most people don't think it exists, but Ellie swore she saw one once at this very park we're going to. Wow, said Russell. Then he frowned. I don't see it in the field guide. Like I said, most people don't think it exists, said Carl. It's the ghost crocus. When they reached the park, it was already mid-morning. It took a while to find their campsite and set up their tents. By the time they were ready to hike, it was midday. They spent the day searching for flowers in Russell's guide. By the time the sun was setting, they had found 10 varieties of wildflower, but Russell couldn't stop thinking about the ghost crocus. Please, Mr. Fredricksen, said Russell as they walked back to the campsite. Can we look for a ghost crocus? Sorry, said Carl. It's getting late. We have to get back to camp before dark. That night, they sang beside the campfire and told each other ghost stories. Wow. And then they looked at the constellations. All right, it's getting very late. It's time for bed, Carl said, opening his tent. He had forgotten all about the ghost crocus. Wow, that's tough. But Russell hadn't. He couldn't sleep knowing there was another flower he could find and identify. Hiking at night might be dangerous for a junior wilderness explorer. But Russell was a senior wilderness explorer. He knew he could handle it. Let's go, Doug, he whispered. We're gonna go fetch something. I love fetching, said Doug. The words were a lot darker than Russell had expected. Maybe Mr. Fredricksen was right. It was getting very late. But then he spotted a soft glow. It seemed to be coming from the back of a cave. What he didn't see was the steep drop. Too late! He tumbled down into the mouth of the cave. Oh no, are you okay? Said Doug. Doug didn't hear a response from the cave, so he ran back to the campsite. Carl awoke with a wet tongue looking in his face. It's time to get up. We were out in the dark looking for the ghost flowers. And then the small mailman fell into the cave. What? Cried Carl. Quick, lead me to him. Down in the cave, everything went dark. At first, Russell felt alone and afraid, but then he remembered. He was a senior wilderness explorer. I can handle this, he said to himself. He stood up and saw a glimmer of light. It was coming from around the corner. Russell, someone cried. It was Carl. He had tied her up to a tree and was lowering himself down to the cave. Look, cried Dug happily, I have found help. I'm sorry, Russell, said Carl. I shouldn't have told you that story about the ghost crocus. Honestly, I never believed it myself. Ellie always had a great imagination. Well, I found something anyway, said Russell with a sly smile. I wonder what it is. Well, I'll be, said Carl. They found the ghost crocus. The next morning, Russell, Dug, and Carl packed up their things and headed back home. The wilderness explorers are going to be so excited. I found all the wildflowers +1, Russell chattered all the way in the back seat. Thank you, Ellie, Carl whispered with a smile. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!